The market square of Coronine was always full of noise. Shouts of traders, the clatter of machines, the cries of the weak. But in one corner, chained to a steel pole, sat a girl who had no name. She had been called many things before: slave, thing, property. Never her real name. She had forgotten it long ago. Her skin was marked with scars, proof of punishments for mistakes she never made. Her eyes were tired, but inside them was a small fire that had never gone out. She had one dream, one impossible wish: freedom. But in Coronine, freedom was more expensive than gold. And she was only a personal slave, worth less than a broken tool. Every day she watched others come and go. Some slaves were bought and sold. Others were beaten until they broke. She remained there, unseen, like a shadow in the corner. But that day was different. Among the crowd walked a man who did not belong. He wore no fine clothes, only an old coat with holes at the sleeves. His boots were worn, his face tired, and his pockets nearly empty. He looked like a man who had lost everything except hope. His name was Rin. Rin moved through the crowd as if searching for something. His eyes scanned the rows of chained people. And then he saw her. For the first time in her life. The girl felt someone looking at her, not as property, not as a thing, but as a person. His gaze stopped on her and did not move. The trader beside her laughed when he saw Rin staring. "You want this one? She is nothing. Weak, broken, worth less than a day's meal. Choose another. At least you can sell them later." Rin did not answer. He walked closer. His eyes never left hers. The girl tried to look away, afraid. No one had ever looked at her like that. She thought it was a trick, another cruel game. But there was something in his face, something steady, something she did not understand. The trader grew impatient. "Well, do you have the coin? If not, move aside. You're wasting my time." Rin reached into his pocket. His hand trembled as he pulled out a single coin. His last coin. The crowd around them laughed. Some shook their heads. One man shouted, "Fool! He spends his last coin on a slave. He will starve tomorrow." But Rin placed the coin into the trader's hand. His voice was quiet, but firm. "She is free now." The trader smirked. "She is yours. Don't cry when she dies in a week." The chains fell from her wrists. For the first time in years, her hands were free. She did not move. She could not. Her legs felt weak. Her heart raced. Rin looked at her and spoke gently, as if speaking to a friend. "You can walk. No one will stop you." She stared at him, confused. Why? It was the first word she had spoken in days. Her voice was rough, broken. Rin's answer was simple. Because no one should live in chains. The crowd laughed again, mocking him. He will regret this. Watch, she will run away. She will betray him. But the girl did not run. She did not even know where to go. She only followed him one step at a time, her bare feet touching the cold stone ground. Every step felt like a dream. Was this real? Or was it another cruel trick? As they left the market, shadows moved in the distance. Men in black uniforms whispered among themselves. One of them pointed at the girl. "That slave is not supposed to be free," he said. "The master will be furious." But Rin and the girl did not see them. They walked on, silent, side by side. The girl's mind was full of questions. Who was this man? Why did he spend his last coin on her? He gained nothing. He risked everything. For the first time, she felt something strange. Something she had not felt in years. Hope yet behind them, danger was already moving. The rulers of Coronine did not forgive. A slave was not allowed to walk free. And this girl was not an ordinary slave. The man who freed her had no idea what storm he had just started, and neither did she. The night after the market was cold. The air of Coronine always smelled of smoke and metal. But tonight it carried something sharper fear. Rin and the freed girl walked through the broken streets. She stayed close but silent, her bare feet scraping against stone. She did not trust him yet. How could she? No one had ever given her kindness without a hidden price. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was low. "Why did you do it?" Rin did not answer at once. He pushed open the door of an old, abandoned shelter and lit a small lamp. The weak light filled the room. It showed how poor he truly was. No food, no bed. Only a broken table and a pile of cloth in the corner. He sat down slowly. His face was tired, but his eyes were steady. Because no one else would. The girl frowned. "You gave everything for me. You have nothing left now." Rin smiled faintly, but there was pain behind it. He reached into his pocket and turned it inside out. Empty. Not a single coin remained. "Yes," he said. "Now I have nothing. Except you." Her chest tightened. She did not know why. She should have felt pity for him. Maybe even anger he had tied his life to hers for no reason. Yet a strange warmth touched her heart, a warmth she had not felt in years. But outside the shelter, the city was not sleeping in the upper levels, in a room of steel and glass. A man in black uniform stood before his master. His voice was sharp. "The slave girl has been taken. A fool spent his last coin to free her." The master's eyes narrowed. "Then bring her back. She was never meant to leave the chains. She carries something far more valuable than her life. Do not fail me." The order was clear. Hunters were sent into the streets. Their boots echoed on the metal roads. Their scanners swept the alleys. The night became dangerous. Back in the shelter, the girl sat in silence, her arms wrapped around her knees. She watched Rin carefully. "You are a strange man," she whispered. "Strange?" Rin asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes." Everyone else laughed. "They said I was useless, worthless, but you." She hesitated, searching for the word. "You looked at me as if I was human." Rin leaned forward. His voice was firm. "Because you are." The words struck her like lightning. She lowered her eyes, not wanting him to see the tears that burned there. But in her heart, doubt still lived. Freedom was dangerous. She knew it too well. Many who tried to escape were hunted down and killed. And she carried a secret she dared not reveal. She thought of warning him. She thought of telling him that saving her might doom them both. But when she looked at his face, so calm and steady despite the risk, the words died on her tongue. Suddenly, the silence broke. A crash outside. Heavy boots, voices. The girl froze. Her breath caught in her chest. "They are coming," she whispered. Rin stood quickly. He pulled a rusty blade from under the table-and old weapon, barely sharp. But it was all he had. The door rattled. A shadow moved across the window. The girl's heart pounded. She had seen these hunters before. They did not take people alive unless ordered to. Chains or corpses, that was their way. Rin turned to her. "Stay behind me." She wanted to shout at him, to tell him he was a fool. He was only one man, poor and weak, with nothing but a broken blade. Against the hunters, he had no chance, but he did not hesitate. He stood between her and the door, ready to face death. The girl's hands shook. For so long, she had believed no one would ever fight for her. She had been nothing but property, a shadow, a forgotten soul. Yet here he was, risking his life after giving away his last coin. The door burst open. The hunters stepped inside, armored and armed with glowing batons. Their leader sneered. "Move aside, man. That girl belongs to us." Rin's voice was steady. "Not anymore." The hunters laughed. "Do you really think you can stop us? You're nothing. Poor, weak, a fool who gave up his last coin for trash." But Rin did not move. He raised his blade, rusty though it was. "Maybe I am a fool, but she will not go back in chains." For a moment, silence filled the room. Even the girl could not breathe. She saw the truth. He would die before letting them take her. Her heart beat fast. Fear mixed with something else, something she had not felt in so long belief. And in that moment, she realized something dangerous. He was not the one at risk. They both were. Because if the hunters knew the truth about her, secret about the power that slept inside her, then neither of them would survive the night. Morning came slowly on Coronine. The sky was not blue like on old Earth. It was gray, full of smoke and wires that stretched across the heavens. The world itself looked like a machine, and its people broken parts inside it, in a forgotten alley. Far from the shining towers of the rich, the girl opened her eyes. For the first time in years, she was not chained. She was lying on a piece of cloth, free to move, free to breathe. The thought itself felt strange. She turned her head. Rin was sitting against the wall, blade resting across his lap, eyes heavy but still alert. He had not slept all night. He had kept guard for her. The girl studied him. He was poor, hungry, and tired, yet he had fought against hunters with nothing but a rusty blade. He had risked everything, and still he stayed. She did not understand it. No one in Coronine did anything without a reason. She whispered softly, "You should sleep." Rin shook his head. "Hunters don't stop at night. I'll rest when it's safe." The words sank into her heart. A man who had nothing chose to protect her, a girl everyone else had called worthless. It was terrifying because kindness in this world was more dangerous than cruelty. By noon, they moved through the streets together. People stared. Whispers followed. "That's her. The slave who was freed. And that's the fool who wasted his last coin. They won't last." Long, the girl felt every word like a blade. The world had not changed. She was still a target, still hated. And now Rin was marked too. They stopped at a small vendor stand where a woman sold scraps of food. Rin gave her a small tool he carried, the last thing of value he owned, in exchange for a piece of bread. He broke it in half and offered her a piece. She hesitated, then slowly took it. The bread was hard, dry, but it tasted like heaven. "You give me too much," she whispered. Rin smiled faintly. "I told you. I have nothing left but you. So we share." Her chest ached again. That strange feeling she did not want to name. But as they ate, she noticed something. A man across the street, pretending to read a screen. Another leaning against a wall to still. A third watching from a rooftop, her breath caught. "They are here," she whispered. Rin followed her eyes. He saw them too. Hunters not attacking yet, just watching. Waiting fear crawled through her bones. She knew what that meant. They were not rushing in because they had orders. Orders to capture her alive. Rin put his hand on her arm. "Stay calm. Don't look at them again." But her heart was racing. She could not help it. They were being hunted like animals, and she knew why. Her secret, that night. They found another place to hide, an old factory ruin, long abandoned. Dust and metal filled the air. Machines that once built weapons now sat silent, like skeletons of giants. The girl sat in the corner, trembling. Rin watched her. He could see the fear written on her face. Finally, he spoke. "There is something you're not telling me." She froze. He leaned closer. His voice was quiet but steady. "Why are they chasing you? Why do they want you so badly? She looked at him, eyes wide, lips trembling. For a long time, she said nothing. She had promised herself never to speak of it. If anyone knew, it would bring death. But Rin's gaze was different. Not demanding, not cruel. Just patient, honest. Her throat felt dry. Slowly, she whispered, "I am not just a slave. I was made for something." Rin frowned. "Made?" She nodded. "The masters? They experiment. They use slaves as test subjects. Most die. Some survive. I survived." Her hands shook as she pulled the sleeve of her torn dress aside. Beneath her skin, faint glowing lines appeared, like tiny circuits running through her veins. Rin's eyes widened. She looked away, ashamed. "They put something inside me. A design, a power. I don't know what it is, but they say it could change the future. That's why they will never let me go." Silence filled the room. The truth was heavier than chains. Rin sat back slowly. He did not move away from her. He did not call her a monster. He simply asked, "Does it hurt?" Her eyes filled with tears. No one had ever asked her that. Double quotes, "Yes," she whispered. "Every day." He reached out, gently covering her hand with his. His voice was firm. "Then we will find a way to stop the pain." Together, her heart broke. She wanted to tell him it was impossible. She wanted to warn him to run away, to save himself before the hunters closed in. But she couldn't, because for the first time in her life, someone had not looked at her like a tool or a weapon or a slave. He looked at her like she was human, and that was more terrifying than any chain. Outside, in the shadows of the factory, red lights blinked. Drones hovered silently, scanning the ruins. The hunters were closing in, and the girl knew the truth. Her new life had only just begun, but it would be a life full of fear. The ruins of the factory gave them one night of safety, no more. By morning, the girl woke to the sound of Rin coughing. He sat by the broken window, keeping watch, his rusty blade still across his lap. "You did not sleep," she whispered. Rin shrugged. "I did, with my eyes open." She almost smiled, almost. But fear sat heavy in her chest. She had seen the red lights outside. She knew the hunters were closing in. Every moment with Rin was a gift wrapped in danger. Yet, she stayed. They moved again before the city woke. Through empty alleys, through tunnels where machines dripped oil like black rain. Every step was a risk. Every shadow could hide an enemy. At a small water pipe, Rin filled an old tin cup and handed it to her. "Drink," she hesitated. In her old life, no one had ever given her food or water first. She was always the last, the forgotten. Her throat tightened as she took the cup. The water was dirty, metallic, but it was the kindest thing she had tasted in years. She whispered, "Why do you always give me everything?" Rin looked at her for a long time before answering. "Because I know what it feels like to have nothing." The words sank deep. She wanted to ask about his past, but the pain in his eyes told her enough. He had lost something too. By evening, they reached the old rail lines outside the city. Rusted tracks stretched into the horizon like scars. Rin chose a small abandoned rail car for shelter. Inside, it smelled of dust and iron, but it was safer than the streets. As night fell, they sat together in the silence. The girl pulled her knees close, shivering. Rin noticed. He pulled off his coat then, worn, full of holes, and placed it around her shoulders. Her eyes widened. "But then you'll be cold." Rin smiled faintly. "I'm used to it." She looked at him, truly looked, and felt a strange ache in her chest. No one had ever done such small human things for her. Not once. But just as warmth touched her heart, the sound of boots shattered the silence. Voices outside. Metal scraping, the girl's body went stiff. Hunters they had followed. Rin signaled her to stay low. He moved silently to the edge of the railcar, blade in hand. The hunters' voices were sharp. The girl is near. The scanners picked up her signal. She cannot hide. Her breath caught. Signal, of course. The circuits in her blood, they could track her. She had known, but hearing it spoken aloud made her feel naked. Exposed. One of the hunters stepped closer, boots crunching on the gravel. Another followed. Rin tensed, ready to strike, though his blade was small against their armor. The girl's fear grew so strong she thought her heart would stop. She wanted to scream, to beg him not to fight. He would die. He was only one man. And then, without meaning to, her body responded. Her veins glowed faintly beneath her skin. The circuits lit up, humming softly. The air inside the railcar grew warm, charged like a storm before lightning. Rin turned to her in shock. She clutched her arms, trembling. I can't control it. Outside, the hunter's scanner spiked. She's here. Rin rushed to her side. His hand gripped her shoulder. His voice, firm but gentle, cut through her panic. Look at me, not them. Look at me. Her wide eyes met his. His calm steadied her trembling heart. Slowly, the glow faded. The warmth sank back into her skin. The hunters cursed outside. Signals gone. She's masking somehow. Spread out. Their footsteps moved away, fading into the night. Silence returned. The girl collapsed against Rin, shaking. I almost exposed us. Rin cut her off softly. You didn't. You stopped it. You're stronger than you think. Her tears fell against his chest. For years, she had been told she was weak, useless, broken. And here was this man, poor and powerless, calling her strong. It broke something inside her, and built something new. Later, when the fear had passed, she spoke quietly in the dark. Rin, why do you keep risking yourself for me? You could leave me. Save yourself. Rin looked at her, his face lit by the faint light of the stars beyond the broken roof. His voice was steady. Because when I saw you chained, I saw myself. And I swore I would never let anyone live like that again. Her breath caught. She wanted to say something, anything, but no words came. For the first time, she did not feel like a slave. She felt human. But even in that small moment of closeness, fear whispered in her heart. Because she knew the truth. The hunters would not stop. The masters would never give up. And the circuits in her veins, her secret, were not done. She was growing closer to Rin, yes? But with every step, with every heartbeat, the danger grew to doubt their bond was real. But so was the fear, and soon both would be tested. The old railcar could not protect them forever. By the third night, the air was heavy with silence. The kind of silence that feels like the world is holding its breath. The girl sat near the broken window, her eyes fixed on the distant towers of Coronine. Their lights pierced the smoke like cruel stars. Each glow reminded her of the chains she had once worn. Rin returned from scavenging. He carried a small bag of food, half-rotten fruit, a tin of dry grain. He dropped it on the floor and sighed. That's all I could find. She looked at him, guilt twisting in her chest. He had nothing left, yet he gave it all to her. She whispered, "You should eat first." He shook his head. "You need it more." The simple words cut deeper than any chain ever had. She lowered her gaze, her fingers tightening around the fabric of his coat still wrapped around her shoulders. But the silence between them carried more than hunger. It carried a weight she could no longer hide. That night, she woke from a dream. In the dream, her body burned, her veins glowing until her skin cracked like glass. She saw Rin calling her name, reaching for her, but she could not answer. Then light exploded from her chest, and everything turned to ash. She woke, gasping. Her arms glowed faintly, lines of blue fire pulsing beneath her skin. She clutched them, trembling. Rin stirred. "What's wrong?" She shook her head. "Nothing." "Go back to sleep." But he didn't. He sat up, watching her carefully. His voice was calm but firm. "You're hiding something. And if we don't face it, it will kill us both." Her breath caught. She had wanted to keep it secret forever. But the dream reminded her. Secrets had teeth. She whispered, "I told you I was changed." "But I didn't tell you everything." Rin waited. He did not push. Her hands trembled as she pulled back her sleeve. The faint circuits glowed brighter now, spreading across her arm like a map of light. She held her breath, then pulled her collar aside. The lines stretched across her chest too, converging at her heart, where a faint pulsing core glowed. Rin's eyes widened. She whispered, "They call it the seed, a machine grown inside flesh. It lives in me. It chooses me." Rin leaned closer. "What does it do?" Her voice cracked. "I don't know. I only know what they said. That it could rewrite cities, that it could burn armies, that it could change everything." She closed her eyes. Memories stabbed through her mind-white rooms, sharp needles. Screams of other slaves who did not survive the experiments. She remembered their bodies falling silent one by one. Out of 100, only she lived. "I am not alive because I was strong," she whispered. "I am alive because the seed wanted me." The words hung in the air like poison. Rin was silent. Not with fear, not with disgust, just thought. He reached out, slowly, carefully, and placed his hand over hers. His warmth pressed against the cold glow of her veins. "You survived," he said. "That's what matters." Tears burned her eyes. She shook her head violently. "No, don't you understand? I'm dangerous. If I lose control, I could kill you. I could kill everyone." His grip tightened. "Then I'll help you stay in control." She stared at him, speechless. No one had ever said such words to her. Not once, but outside the rail car, danger was moving in a tower high above. The master of Coronine stood before a massive screen. On it glowed her image, lines of data, signals traced through the city. His voice was cold. "The seed is awake. If she bonds with him, it could stabilize. That must not happen. Bring her back alive. Kill the man." The order spread like fire. Back in the railcar, the girl leaned against the wall, shaking. The glow in her veins dimmed, but the weight in her chest grew. She whispered, "Why do you keep doing this? Why stand beside me?" "You have no reason." Rin's answer was simple. "Because you deserve more than chains. And if this seed is part of you, then I'll fight anyone who tries to use it." Her breath trembled. No chains, no experiments, no masters. His words painted a picture she had never dared to dream. For the first time, she imagined a future. Not as a slave, not as a weapon, but as a person. But the dream came with fear. Because she knew the truth, the seed was not done. And the masters would come for her soon. Rin had given her freedom. He had given her hope, but now the dark secret inside her threatened to take it all away, and the hunters were already closing in. The night was quiet. Too quiet. The girl and Rin had left the old rail car behind. Moving through the abandoned outskirts of Coronine, the ruins stretched like bones across the land-collapsed towers. Broken machines, shadows that whispered with every gust of wind. But silence was never safety. It was only the pause before the storm. Rin sensed it first. He stopped, blade in hand, eyes scanning the darkness. "They're here," he said softly. The girl's heart clenched. She felt it tooth a seed inside her, humming. Warning. Alive, then the storm broke. From the ruins, hunters poured out dozens of them, armored in black steel, weapons glowing in the smoke. Drones circled overhead, red lights cutting through the night. The leader stepped forward, voice like metal. "Slave, you will return. The master calls you." The girl trembled, stepping back. But Rin moved in front of her, blade raised. "She is free." The hunters laughed, a cruel, echoing sound. "One man against us. You cannot even feed yourself. Step aside, and we may let you live." Rin's voice did not shake. "Then kill me, because I will not move." The hunters charged. Rin met the first with his rusty blade, sparks flying as steel clashed against armor. He fought like a man with nothing left to lose, striking fast, fearless. For a moment, he seemed unstoppable, but there were too many. Blades slashed, boots kicked. Rin staggered back, blood on his cheek, breath ragged. Still, he refused to fall. The girl watched in horror. Her chest burned, her veins glowing brighter with every heartbeat. The seed inside her stirred, hungry, alive. "No," she whispered. "Not him. Please, not him." One hunter raised his baton high, aiming for Rin's head. Something broke inside her. Light exploded. Her body glowed. Circuits across her skin blazing like fire. The seed awakened, pulsing with power. The air cracked, the ground shook, the hunters froze. Drones crashed from the sky, their circuits fried. Her voice was not her own, it was deeper, layered like a chorus of machines. "Do not touch him." A wave of energy burst outward. Hunters were thrown back, armor shattering. Metal warped and bent as if the air itself had turned against them. Rin shielded his eyes, but he did not run. He stood by her side, even as the power burned. The girl hovered above the ground, light spilling from her veins. Her heart raced with terror and fury. She saw the hunters not as men, but as shadows of the chains she had worn all her life. She raised her hand. A wall of metal tore free from the ruins, slamming into the hunters. Screams filled the air. The leader shouted, "She cannot be allowed to stabilize. Kill the man. Break her bond." The words cut through the chaos. Break her bond. She realized then Rin was her anchor. The seed reacted to him, calmed by him. Without him, it would consume her. And they knew it. A hunter broke through, rushing Rin with a blade. Rin blocked, but his strength was fading. "Rin!" She cried. Her glow flared brighter, and with it came pain. The seed was pulling harder, taking control. She felt her body slipping, her mind drowning in the storm. Rin's voice broke through the chaos. "Listen to me. You are not a weapon. You are not their slave. You are you." His words struck deeper than any chain. She gasped, clutching her chest, fighting for control. The seed roared inside her, begging to be unleashed. And then she chose. Her scream shook the ruins. Energy ripped outward in a final wave, blinding white. Hunters were thrown like rag dolls, their weapons melting in their hands. The ground cracked, fire bursting from the earth. When the light faded, silence remained. The hunters lay broken, scattered, too weak to rise. Drones smoked on the ground, lifeless. The battlefield was hers. The girl fell to her knees, trembling. The glow faded slowly, leaving only faint sparks beneath her skin. Rin rushed to her, dropping his blade. He held her shoulders, eyes wide. "Are you hurt?" She looked at him, tears streaming down her face. I almost lost myself." Rin shook his head. "No, you found yourself. You chose." Her heart pounded. For so long she had been told she was nothing but a tool, a weapon, a slave. But in that moment, with Rin's arms steady around her, she believed him. She had chosen. She was not just the seed, she was human. The battlefield lay silent. Smoke rose from broken machines. The ruins of Coronine glowed faintly with heat where the seed's power had torn the ground apart. The girl knelt in the dust, trembling, her breath sharp in her chest. Her body felt heavy, her veins still humming with faint light. She feared moving, afraid the seed would rise again and burn everything. But then she felt a hand on her shoulder, warm, human. Steady.ryn. He crouched beside her. Blood on his cheek, his old blade still in his hand. His voice was quiet but strong. "It's over." "You did it?" Her eyes filled with tears. "No, we did it. Without you, I would have been lost." Rin smiled faintly. "Then we found each other." For a moment, the world felt still. They left the battlefield before dawn. The ruins of the city stretched before them, endless and broken, but for the first time. The girl did not feel like a prisoner walking in chains. She walked beside someone who had chosen her, not for what she carried, but for who she was. They stopped at the edge of the wastelands, where the old tracks ended. The horizon glowed red with the rising sun. The girl turned to him, clutching his coat tighter around her shoulders. "Why do you never leave me behind? Why keep fighting for me?" Rin looked at her, his expression simple, honest. "Because I promised myself no one I love will ever live in chains." Her breath caught. The word hung between them like a spark. Love. She had never heard it spoken to her. Never believed it could belong to her. Yet here it was, offered freely, without demand. Tears blurred her vision. She whispered, "Then let me stay by you. Not as your burden. Not as your slave. But as your wife." Rin froze, surprise flashing in his tired eyes. Then slowly, he smiled the kind of smile that carried no fear, no regret, only truth. "Yes," he said simply. Together, for the first time in her life, she felt free. Not just free from chains, but free from the weight of being less than human. She was someone's partner, someone's equal, someone's wife. And yet, the world was not done with them, far away, in the highest tower of Coronine. The master stood in silence, staring at the glowing screen. On it, the girl's power replayed the seed unleashed. The hunters destroyed. A shadow stepped forward beside him, cloaked in black. "Shall I send more soldiers?" The master's voice was cold, sharp as glass. "No, the seed has awakened. It bonded to him. That changes everything." The shadow frowned. "Then what shall we do?" The master's eyes narrowed, his lips curling into a dark smile. "We watch. We wait. Because if the seed can destroy armies, then one day it will come for me. And when it does, I will be ready." The screen flickered, showing her face, glowing veins, burning eyes. "This is not the end," he whispered. "This is only the beginning." Back on the wasteland tracks, the girl and Rin walked side by side, leaving the broken city behind. She carried scars, secrets, and a power she could barely control. He carried nothing but an old blade and a promise he refused to break. Together, they carried hope, and as the rising sun painted the ruins in gold, the girl finally whispered the words she never thought she would speak. "My name is Lyra?" Rin turned, surprised. "Lyra," she smiled softly. "Not slave, not weapon, Lyra." Rin nodded. "Then Lyra, my wife, wherever we go free." The wasteland stretched before them, dangerous, endless, unknown. But with every step, the fear felt smaller, and the bond between them felt stronger. The girl who was once a slave was now more than free. She was human. She was loved. And with Rin at her side, she was unstoppable. Yet, in the shadows behind them, unseen by both, A small drone blinked red and sent a signal back to the towers. The world still hunted her, and soon. Their journey would lead them into a war far greater than either of them could imagine. But for now, under the rising sun, they walked as husband and wife together, unbroken.